One of the questions I get regularly from my writer friends is, I want to write a children's book, but I can't draw, and I don't want to find an illustrator. What should I do? And this book completely illustrates what I have always said, which is there is more than one way to come up with pictures for a picture book. But hello all, it's Ruthie with Look What I Got at the Library, where I go to the library and find something absolutely wonderful. What a charming, useful book. Roly Poly by Mem Fox, illustrated by Dyer. This is a wonderful book. It's about a little bear who does everything by himself, and he thoroughly enjoys it until one day he wakes up and he gets quite a little surprise because he finds a little brother in his bed, and he's not very pleased about it. And he says to his mother, "Who is that?" And his father says, "A little brother. His name is Monty." "A little brother," said Roly Poly, "but I never asked for a little brother, and I don't want one now." This is a really nice book. I enjoy it because it seems to me a very honest book. It seems to have a very forthright style to it, which I thoroughly enjoyed. It just sort of gets to the point, but I can also imagine it being a really, really helpful book. I think children would find it very, very funny, but I also think it would be a really helpful book. And one of the things my mum did really well when we were little, there were 4 of us, I'm the eldest, but there were 4 of us, is she did a really good job of making sure that we were always excited when the new baby was coming. So I don't really remember sibling rivalry being a big problem in our family, and I know for a fact that if mum could have got a book like this when we were little, she absolutely would have, because it's just so helpful. And it's also really fun because it's just really very amusing, and I think that it captures the direct way children feel things. You know, the way children just feel things and they say things, and they haven't learnt to, well, layer up lies in the name of politeness over what they say. I think it does a really wonderful job of this. It's just such a fun, enjoyable book. I think it would be a really helpful book for heading off sibling rivalry, but I also think it would be just a wonderful book to add to your book collection in general if you just like lovely, lovely books. One of the other reasons I was drawn to this book in the library is that the illustrations are very unusual, and I shall move the camera over and show you what I mean. One of the questions I get regularly from my writer friends is, I want to write a children's book, but I can't draw, and I don't want to find an illustrator. What should I do? And this book completely illustrates what I have always said, which is there is more than one way to come up with pictures for a picture book. But I would like to just point out before I go further with this observation that Dyer absolutely can paint. She is such a good painter. I looked up her website, and her more traditional illustrations, they look like they've been done with watercolor to me, but I'm not 100% sure, but they are extremely well done. She's a very, very, very good artist. So I'm in no way implying that Dyer has done this because she can't paint. She absolutely can paint. In fact, she paints so well, she makes me think a little bit of Tasha Tudor, and I'll probably have to buy something with her other illustrations in it just because they're so beautiful. But to return to my point about there's more than one way to illustrate a children's book, this is really beautiful. It's really unusual. It uses photographs of felted bears, and I just love it. I just think that's beautiful. Oh look, that's rather sweet. There's a little Easter egg of one of her more traditionally illustrated books in the corner. And I really do encourage you to check out her website because her painted work is completely exquisite, and I will put a link for her website below. But this is it's just adorable. It's so cute, and they're so well done. I mean, what an extraordinary range of talent. It's just very impressive. I like how texturally rich this approach to illustration feels. It just feels like you could reach in there and start touching the illustrations. Oh, look at that. I just adore that little handmade rug. So as you can see, the illustrations are rich and unusual and utterly charming. And as I have said to my writer friends who do not draw before, creating a book is a very creative process, and you don't have to illustrate a book in a traditionally expected manner for it to be gorgeous. Oh, and I'll just show you the end pages because I particularly like the paper snowflakes. I think that that is just beautiful and completely in keeping with the book. Stunning. Beautiful. But again, do check out the illustrator's painted books as well, because they are completely stunning, and I don't think you'll be sorry. And I'm definitely going to try and buy at least one of her painted books myself. In addition to being a really helpful, excellent book with unusually creative illustrations, the book was particularly valuable because it led me to the website of Mem Fox, which I will link below in the description box. And I do encourage you to check out her essays she's written on the subject of encouraging a love of literature in children. I found them to be very insightful, and I really wish I'd had more time to read them thoroughly, because the few I did skim read seemed to be particularly sensitive and insightful and well worth reading. So I do encourage you to check out the author as well as the book, Mem Fox, especially if you have an interest in cultivating a love of books and children. This author really does provide some very valuable resources on her website, and I encourage you to check it out. It is a thoroughly lovely book, Roly Poly, written by Mem Fox and illustrated by Jane Dyer. Remember, when you go to the library, you're not just looking for something to read, you're digging for treasure. So, get out there and dig. This has been Ruthie with Look What I Found at the Library. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.